Okay, talk to us about railways, Tony, because I know one of your passions is steam trains and trains in general.
Railways.
The big feature of the series, really, in terms of you know, the early scenes. Okay, arrives
at the station.
At the station, and you know, so tell us about that.
Well, the thing that it doesn't matter what your interest is, but in a drama, it doesn't matter if it's planes, boats, trains, kitchens, household appliances or whatever. If you see a glaring error, then that thin silver line that's holding you is broken, and you start talking about how they got it wrong, and the drama's lost you. And particularly for railway, 39 steps, you see a train going towards Cornwall when it should be going north to Edinburgh and to the Grampians or wherever. So I made sure that every single coach, every locomotive was absolutely right for the mid-30s. And it was phenomenal. I was getting paid to travel up and down the railway line on a steam engine. I mean, living in bliss. Yeah. And I think I was actually, I don't think you see me, but I was in the cab of every locomotive that was coming in and out, because we were filming there, but the regular trains were going through too, I think, on occasion. So, you know, we had to slip in and out. But no, that was phenomenal. But I can remember that makes me think also that we'd got early E&G cameras out on that. And I can remember every member of the unit had 2 or 3 batteries next to their skin underneath their clothing on those cold days, because the batteries would die very, very quickly. And that's where we were shooting for the big high wide shot of the train going right to left through the shot.
So that's the opening shot of the entire series, actually, with the train kind of coming
going
in.
right to left.
That's right, yeah.
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 Yeah, it was a 22XX with a rake of early Great Western yellow and brown coaches. Yes, I remember
Any idea
it well.
if it still exists, that particular?
Oh yes,
yeah?
Oh God, yes, they all exist.
Wow.
In actual fact, that railway line's gone from strength to strength. I mean, wow, they're now rebuilding locomotives for an awful lot of other people. I was there less than a year ago, and they were rebuilding 2 Scottish locomotives while I was there. Wow. They were putting the wheels on 828, and we've just got the Duke of Sutherland's engine back from Canada, and they were reboilering it there.
Wow. Okay. So why did you end up with that station, that stretch of line? What worked?
It was the country. It was perfect. The countryside around it lent itself. I mean, if you look at the scenery around there, the houses around there, and the other thing is if you read that book properly, and you've got any knowledge about language and the English countryside, the names for the towns that he uses and the things he describes are quite particular to that area of the West Country. Wardine and things, the way words end. You know, quite often since working on that, every now and again I'll drive through a bit of countryside and something will and I think, yes, that dates back. You know, it's links in chains that you form, but every now and again they'll link up again. Right.
And so the shots, because there's one of the early scenes is with the 2 foxy-faced Charles.
Oh, the curates.
The curates on the train, yes. And
Find the lady.
Yeah, that's it. So that's all shot. That sequence all shot in the same carriage that you actually see from the exterior.
But of course, to get lights in there, and we would need light, what we had to do on that particular train was choose the coach we were using. Having set that up, we would then, I think we had a low loader at the end of the train, and we ran our power cables from the Jenny on the low loader back along the carriage and then into the window in the corridor, and then put the lights in there like that. I didn't see much of that because I was sitting hanging out of a window forward of that with a safety harness on, with a huge sack of drift flakes, because of course it was snowing, and the best thing for snow is drift flakes. So I was freezing to death hanging out the window, lobbing handfuls of drift flakes there.
Brilliant. All right.
What did you do today, Daddy?
Okay, so Sea King's house then. This is the main kind of house that a lot of the action takes place in. Tell us a little bit about that.
You'd think that was easy to find. It wasn't that easy to find, and of course we went through all the local estate agents, because it's very difficult to have a family living in a house while you're filming there, particularly when you're going to be using so many rooms, and you've got to probably redecorate quite a lot as well.
So you shot inside and outside the house, right?
Yes. The other thing, eventually the estate agents showed us that house amongst many, many others that we could hire. It had just been bought, and a couple of things mitigated against it. One, there was a huge real whalebone archway at the gateway, which we could drive cars through, but we wouldn't be able to get the Jenny up there, the dining bus, or anything else like that. And of course the parking there wasn't that good. So what we would have had to have done was to have embussed everybody on and take them up in minibuses and do shuttles, which is what we eventually did.
What kind of crew numbers are we talking about?
Oh, quite big,
yeah.
Quite big. I mean, off the top of my head, I'd say, depending on, with extras, there were days when we were talking about 250. But most of the time, I'd say 60.
Right.
I mean, we certainly had well over 100 extras on the mass in the cathedral, of course.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So you shot. So a lot of the scenes set in the house are actually shot in that house.
Oh, yes.
And was that pretty tricky to do?
Well, they actually decided to move in, but would live in different parts of the house when we were filming, if I remember rightly. It was tricky because it's always logistics. One thing I hadn't realised was that all the architraves were plaster. Can you imagine what it was like? Carrying tripods, lighting stands, furniture, through doorway after doorway, and the doorway's made of plaster. I mean, the restitution we had to do at the end of that was quite big. I mean, they liked a lot of the decoration we did, so they kept it. But the agreement, as always with the drama, is that if they don't like the redecoration that you've done for your filming purposes, you have to decorate it back to what they would want.
Right. Okay.
But we certainly had to replace an awful lot of architrave.
Yes, I bet. All right, so Tony, tell us a little bit about the cathedral.
Initially, we were going to use Tewkesbury Abbey. And we did eventually use the Abbey for some exterior scenes around the cathedral, just before the Mass, etc. But because of the strike and the delay, Tewkesbury Abbey then became covered in scaffolding and it was being refurbed. So we, short notice, had to, short notice, a month or so, had to set up Hereford Cathedral. And the delay had caused all sorts of other problems, in so much as instead of working in the wintertime, we were working at midsummer for the Christmas. I mean, it's really, I think it was Midsummer's Day virtually that we shot the sequence with the Mass.
Wow. Okay. So, the kind of end Mass, the Christmas Eve big Mass, which is the culmination of all the events.
That's
isn't
it. Yeah.
That's that shot Midsummer's Day.
Yeah.
Lots of light, lots of windows.
We had to black out. Can you imagine having to black out the windows in a cathedral?
No. I can't.
I don't think our sparks like that very much. It was very, very difficult. And of course there's all sorts of other things that you have to take care of, like the chimes from the cathedral clock.
Yep.
You can turn it. Oh, I remember talking to I think it was the Verger or the Dean, I can't remember. And he said, oh, it's easy, just go through that wooden arch door over there, up the spiral staircase, turn right at the top, be careful when you do that, go to the end, and it's in there, you turn it off. And of course I ran in through this arch door, ran up these spiral stairs, and when I opened the door to step out, of course there was a 120-foot drop with a ledge about a foot wide, which you have to walk along.
Wow.
I had to do it because otherwise I'd have looked very foolish, but I think he had a wry smile on his face when he looked up.
Brilliant. So Chichester Cathedral is a mix of Hereford interiors and Tewkesbury exterior?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Well, okay. And then one of the other kind of big set piece scenes, or not a set piece, I guess, but locations, is the college, the training college for the priest training college, which Abner and his crew have kind of moved into.
Yes, which is Eastnor Castle.
Eastnor Castle, yes. So, and there were obviously a lot of exterior scenes
on the lake, where he went swimming, for instance.
Yep.
And it was him swimming, by the way.
Really?
We did. That was one of the ones before we came back. So that was, I'm sure it was before the strike, and it was quite cold. And we'd hired a stuntman from London to come down to do that. And when we came to do it, Robert Stevens was there, but stuntman had his kind of build, hair colour, etc. Stuntman went in once, came out and said, I'm not doing that again, and walked off. So Robert Stevens did it.
Wow.
He was wonderful, wonderful man. I had a lot of time for him.
Right.
I know he had his problems, but I think he was a wonderful actor. I can remember he was Athelwalper in Roald Hunt of the Sun, and I mean, he was breathtaking in that, and he was perfect for this.
So tell us a little bit about, okay, Robert Stevens, okay, big kind of huge Shakespearean actor, you know, heavyweight really. In terms of,
real heavyweight.
So,
but we were told we couldn't use him because he had misbehaved in the past, and he did like the odd drink, and the booking department, the BBC, told us there was no way on God's earth we could. And Rennie, bless him, convinced them to let us use him, which was fantastic. But part of the deal was that we used his girlfriend to play the female lead. But no, he was fantastic.
I mean, it's phenomenal performance, isn't it? I mean,
it's a tour de force.
Every scene he's in, he is just.
Well, you believe him, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, he really is kind of scene stealing, isn't he? Very powerful actor.
Yeah. But I mean, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
There's a great scene, isn't there? One of the great scenes is when he's got the match. He's in the Prince Rupert's Arms kind of suite, and you've got Kay from the mouse hole looking up, and he's got his match. He's running his finger through the match.
That's it. We used windproof flamers, so the match was 50% head, so he could keep his finger going backwards and forwards through the flame, and you know, he was looking at himself in the mirror. Very powerful. I can remember when he added that bit of business, because of course that wasn't scripted. That was something he brought to the part. It was perfect. I mean, basically, it was showing you how evil he could be.
Yeah,
that was. I remember as an adult watching it, and it did send shivers down my spine.
And I mean, he's a major character in this series, isn't he? I mean, he's in a lot of the scenes. So, and how did
it's the fight between good and evil, and he's the evil.
Yeah, yeah. But in terms of, I guess, Robert Stevens on set, kind of generally, he played ball, and it was.
Oh God, yes, big time. The reason he did it, I mean, it wasn't Little League, but I mean, the reason he did it is he knew the book. And he loved the part, and he fought to do it, and he convinced Rennie Rye wanted him, and he managed somehow, Rennie, and he managed to convince the bookers that it would be fine, and it was a very shrewd and clever move.
Brilliant. Okay.
No, I mean, he really, really, really loved that part, and he really, really wanted to do it. I mean, he was word perfect very quickly.
So then you've got his nemesis, you've got Cole Hawlings, who's Patrick Troughton, Doctor Who, and how was he?
Lovely character. I mean, I think they were both perfectly cast.
I mean, he's in far less of the series. He's actually in 3 out of 6 episodes.
Yes, you see him at the beginning to establish the character, then you see him escaping from the house. Yes, he's in it. But then I think he was perfectly cast as well. I initially saw somebody like Cyril, when we were casting it, I remember thinking somebody like Cyril Cusack. And I remember thinking, Troughton, I don't know, but no, it was very good. Very,
difficult to imagine anyone else in those 2 roles.
Now it is, yes.
Really, you look at that.
Yeah, but of course it was a blank canvas when we were all discussing it and talking. But, no, I think Rennie did a great job in casting.
And then Kay, David, the young actor, debut actor, wasn't he?
Yes.
And how was he? What was he like in terms of his experience? Because that's, he's playing opposite some heavyweight actors there.
But then, of course, they don't have that much experience, so this is all new to them, and they haven't had time, in a way, to build up preconception. He was a very pleasant lad, very good. The problem, of course, the old adage about not working with children, animals, or water. We had all of them in this, and the problem about children is that the law governing the use of children in the labour market goes back to the days of chimney sweeps and children down the mines. And the law is very, very strong. And if you get caught breaking the law, basically it can be a prison sentence. And you've got to do your homework, you've got to schedule your whole filming schedule around the use of the children. Because they can only work for so many hours. They also have to have a tutor. They have to have a chaperone, and they're constrained to their hours. So basically, when you're doing a schedule, A, you're thinking about where the locations are, but B, you have to think about which children are involved and where, and then fill in all the rest around.
I mean, he's in pretty much every scene, isn't he? His character carries the.
So
story.
any cutaways, any things which involve adults and a steam engine, or cutaways, or moonlight shots, or things of the car flying, or shots of the car, or tunnels, or anything like that. You've got to pepper around the meat in the sandwich, which is K.